Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Aam Aadmi Party workers hit the streets after the Enforcement Directorate arrests Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the liquor policy case. Opposition leaders condemn the arrest and approach the Election Commission. The BJP hits back, terms the arrest a victory of truth, demands Kejriwal's resignation. The Sensex and the Nifty recover from opening lows, ending in the green. All sectoral indices gain, barring IT, Sensex and Nifty are up 1% this week. Maruti Suzuki's market cap is now twice as big as its parent company, Suzuki Motor. The recent rally takes Maruti's market cap above $46 billion. Suzuki's market cap at $22 billion. Union Finance Ministry warns India's inflation and growth prospects are at risk due to the rise in oil prices caused by the Red Sea crisis, adding that the current account deficit will need to be watched closely in FY25. Aviation regulator imposes an 80 lakh rupee fine on Air India for violating rest and fatigue management norms for its crew and pilots. This is the largest fine ever on an Indian airline for FDTL violation and the second biggest fine on Air India after the 1.1 crore rupee fine in January for safety rules violation. The Bajaj Group commits 5,000 crore rupees towards CSR initiatives aimed at skill development of 2 crore Indians, plans to expand its flagship skilling centres to 15 locations across the country. Megha Engineering is the top donor to the BJP via electoral bonds, donating 584 crore rupees. Future Gaming accounts for over 35% of all donations received by the Trinamool Congress. Vedanta, the top donor to the Congress party, with donations amounting to 125 crore rupees. The Enforcement Directorate is required to furnish grounds of arrest to the accused in writing without exception, rules the Supreme Court rejects a review petition by the Union government challenging a previous order by the Apex Court. After a strong rebuke from the Supreme Court, Tamil Nadu governor administers the oath of office to DMK minister Ponmudi. The governor had refused to reinstate the minister despite the Supreme Court imposing a stay on his conviction. US government accuses Apple of illegally monopolizing the smartphone market, files a lawsuit against the tech giant along with 15 other states, saying Apple has the power to control prices or exclude competition. Apple says the lawsuit is wrong on facts and law. Leaders of the European Union, UK and Australia call for the immediate ceasefire in Gaza. This comes hours before the UN Security Council prepares to vote on US-backed resolution. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is scheduled to meet top Israeli officials and push for a ceasefire. The death toll in Gaza nears 32,000. The Indian Premier League begins today with a clash between Chennai Super Kings and Royal Challengers Bengaluru. A special report on the business of cricket and IPL coming up. Well, we'll get you the IPL stats in just a bit, but let's start with the market action today. The Sensex and the Nifty did shrug off a sluggish start, ending at the high point of the day. The Nifty gained over 80 points today and the Sensex gained 190 points. All sectoral indices, barring the IT index, ended with gains today. That's the story as far as the Sensex and the Nifty are concerned. Mid-caps also closing about 0.5% higher. The Nifty Bank about 180 points higher. For the week, both the Sensex and the Nifty have gained 1%, and this is the second consecutive week of gains for our markets. But let's talk about IT stocks, because IT stocks declined after global major Accenture cut its revenue and margin outlook for FY24. Now, brokerages have warned that the revenue forecast for FY25 could be at risk as Indian IT has remained in an earnings downgrade cycle. So that's the story. IT stocks under pressure today. Crude oil prices, meanwhile, inching higher even as ceasefire talks in Gaza gain traction. Brent crude is hovering around $85 a barrel. That's as per a Bloomberg report. Indian refineries have stopped taking Russian crude supplied by PGSC. That's the Somkomflot tankers due to sanctions imposed by the US government. This as per Bloomberg data. Now, refiners are now assessing and scrutinizing the ownership of each ship to make sure that they're not affiliated with this company or any other sanctioned group. The company has said that the sanctions have put pressure on operations. So that's as far as the sanctions on Russia imposed by the US and its impact on crude markets as well as our offtake. The Union Finance Ministry has warned that India's inflation and growth prospects could potentially be at risk due to the rise in oil prices, this caused by the Red Sea crisis. In a monthly economic review, the government has added that the current account deficit will need to be watched closely in FY25. Sapna joins us now with the details of what the government is saying. Sapna, take us through the headlines coming in from the government's review.
Absolutely. First to flag off 2 to 3 aspects that the Finance Ministry has kind of red flagged as a possible fallout of the Red Sea crisis. First, of course, potential impact on India's exports. And, even before that, they're talking about how some of these sectors can be impacted, like, for instance, agriculture commodities, capital goods, textiles, petroleum products, autos, auto ancillary, the entire list is there. So going forward, what they're trying to indicate is that probably, to kind of deal with the situation, a kind of a change in the trade routes may be required. The shipping costs, however, may get impacted because of that, because the transit costs will go up. So all of that can, have an inflationary impact. That's one. Secondly, oil has been under some kind of pressure since quite a long time. Probably that is also reflective of the fact that the oil cores were not very gung-ho in terms of the price cut which just happened. It's just 2 rupees across the board, so to speak. So these are some of the big risk factors that we need to keep in mind as we navigate towards FY25. The review also notes that this will have to be seen as to what kind of impact this will have on India's merchandise exports, how the values can be impacted, because so far what has happened is that the trade deficit is also lower despite lower exports, because the commodity prices have been coming down globally. So that has had a salubrious impact as far as India's CAD is concerned. However, going forward, if these kind of export challenges happen, if other sectors are impacted in India, overall food and inflation goes up, then this is going to really turn the tide in a very negative manner. So that's one big thing. The second, of course, they're also talking about the fact that, however, going forward, FY25, the outlook is still bright because domestically India is very strong at the moment. They have also kind of hinted that maybe an 8% growth in FY24 would be possible, because they're saying that Q4, in order to grow at around 8% Q4, all that you need is around 5.9% growth, which they say is a big understatement. So, all in all, it's a kind of a balancing act, but we need to keep an eye on the Red Sea situation.
All right, Sapna, many thanks for joining us. Now, the aviation regulator has imposed a fine of 80 lakh rupees on Air India for violating the rest and fatigue management norms for its crew and pilots. Now, this is the largest ever fine on an Indian airline for FDTL violation and the second biggest fine on Air India after the 1.1 crore rupee fine that was imposed in January by the regulator for safety rules violation. The DGCA said it conducted spot audits and found Air India operated flights with both flight crew aged above 60 years flying together. It was also found that Air India's crew didn't get adequate weekly rest before and after an ultra-long range flight. The regulator stated that Air India failed to provide adequate rest on layover after ultra-long range flights as well. The DGCA says it's observed instances of flight crew exceeding duty periods. The regulator has imposed fines on Air India nearing 3 crores in the last 2 years. Credit Suisse has informed the Supreme Court that SpiceJet has cleared all its outstanding dues. In its previous hearing, the Supreme Court had directed SpiceJet to clear the dues by the 15th of March. The court posted the case for hearing in July to ensure that the airline doesn't default again. Maruti Suzuki's market cap is now more than twice that of its parent Suzuki Motor. The Indian auto major stock has rallied in today's trade as well. Yusuf is here with more. Yusuf, what's driving the stock rise for Maruti?
About 10 years ago, Maruti Suzuki was less than half the size of its Japanese parent Suzuki Motor. Now it is twice as big as its parent company. Maruti currently commands a market capitalization of $46 billion. In comparison, Suzuki's market valuation stands at $22 billion. Remember, the company had surpassed Suzuki's market valuation for the first time in January 2015. Not surprisingly, the rally in Maruti Suzuki stock has been on the back of solid fundamentals. While the net revenue of Maruti Suzuki has increased at a compound rate of 7.6% over the last 5 years, Suzuki Motor registered a growth of 4.3% in revenue during the same period. The latest rally in Maruti Suzuki was driven by multiple factors. In a recent note, brokerage CLSA observed that the company is likely to benefit from the rise in CNG vehicles. According to the brokerage, the market share of CNG passenger vehicles will increase from the current 15% to 22% in FY30. Additionally, the Minister of Road Transport and Highways proposed a tax reduction for hybrid vehicles to 12%. Experts believe the reduction in tax would improve Maruti's profitability as many competitors are not investing in the technology. Shares of Maruti Suzuki added another 4% in today's trade to take the year-to-date return to 20%. In contrast, the stock of Suzuki Motor has gained 13% between January and now, and the benchmark Nifty 50 is up just 2%.
Yusuf, many thanks. Now, the Bajaj Group is committing 5,000 crore rupees towards CSR initiatives aimed at skill development. The group plans to upskill 2 crore Indians over the next 5 years. It already has a skilling centre in Pune and is planning to expand that to 15 other locations. Abhimanyu reports from the headquarters on the outskirts of Pune on the skill development plans that the group has charted out.
The Bajaj Group has committed rupees 5,000 crores for the next 5 years towards various CSR initiatives aimed to benefit over 2 crore Indians. The group has clubbed its CSR and charitable programs under a new identity, Bajaj Beyond, with a sharp focus on skill development. The Bajaj Engineering Skills Training Program, launched in 2023, aims to enhance skills of engineering and diploma graduates in the latest technologies relevant to Industry 4.0. Having inaugurated its flagship skilling center in Pune with 120 students, the program is now scaling up with a plan to establish 15 centers across India.
We have just started, and we have to gather some experience, as we explained in the morning, by doing this manager activity, a proof of concept activity. Maybe in 3-6 months' time, we will have a better idea of what lies ahead. But there is no doubt that there is so much to be done. We have to just find the bandwidth to do it. So no, I don't have an exact answer right now.
Bajaj Finserv Limited certificate program in banking, finance and insurance has trained 53,000 young graduates across 140 towns in India. As per the company's MD Sanjeev Bajaj, 66% of the target segment is first-generation graduates and 70% of those being trained are women, of which many have tripled their household income and now have a say in their house. In Pune with video journalist Chandrakant, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC TV 18.
Well, that is Bajaj Group's CSR plans. The big national story: Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal arrested from his residence last night by the Enforcement Directorate over the liquor policy case. Now, the ED claims proceeds of the crime add up to 600 crore rupees. Kejriwal's lawyer Abhishek Manu Singhvi arguing that ED has not been able to establish the need to arrest a sitting Chief Minister. His arrest has sparked widespread protests in Delhi. The police have also detained leaders like Atishi, Saurabh Bhardwaj and others, but they were released later. Kejriwal has been brought to Roos Avenue by the ED to hear the matter. That transpired earlier today. Kejriwal's arrest has also sparked strong reactions from the opposition party. Rahul Gandhi tweeted, and I quote, "A scared dictator wants to create a dead democracy," end of quote. He went on to say that the arrest of the Chief Minister has become a common thing. West Bengal's Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee said it's outrageous that elected ministers are being targeted deliberately, calling it a blatant assault on democracy. Chief Ministers of Tamil Nadu and Kerala have called it a witch hunt. Opposition leaders have approached the Election Commission, the BJP hitting back at the allegations, calling the arrest a victory of truth. The party has also demanded the resignation of Arvind Kejriwal as the Chief Minister of Delhi.
कोई भी विपक्ष का कोई लीडर अगर बीजेपी के जुल्म जबर के खिलाफ बोलता है तो उसके घर पे ईडी आती है, उसके घर पे सीबीआई आती है, इनकम टैक्स आती है। चट्टान की तरह अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के साथ खड़ी है। अरविंद केजरीवाल को तो गिरफ्तार कर लोगे, उसकी सोच को कैसे गिरफ्तार करोगे? अरविंद केजरीवाल एक व्यक्ति नहीं है, अरविंद केजरीवाल एक सोच है।
The arrest of Kejriwal is only through threat. There is no evidence to arrest Mr. Kejriwal. I don't know why they were arrested. See, it is undemocratic, and it shows that this government is a dictatorial government.
हाई कोर्ट में अरविंद केजरीवाल जी खुद गए थे। हाई कोर्ट ने गिरफ्तारी पर रोक लगाने से इनकार कर दिया और सूत्रों से तो ये भी पता चल रहा है कि ऑनरेबल जस्टिस ने कहा कि अभी तक अरविंद केजरीवाल बाहर कैसे घूम रहे हैं इतने प्रूव होने के बाद। कोर्ट बेल देती है और कोर्ट बेल भी नहीं दे रही है, तो इसके बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सर पे ठीकरा मत फोड़ें, अपने कर्मों पर ठीकरा फोड़ें।
Well, that is the latest from the capital. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has refused to grant bail to BRS leader K. Kavitha, who was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate over the Delhi excise policy case. A bench of Justices Sanjeev Khanna, M.M. Sundaresh and Bela Trivedi directed K. Kavitha to approach the trial court for bail. The ED is required to furnish grounds of arrest to the accused in writing without exception, has ruled the Supreme Court, rejecting a review petition by the union government challenging a previous order by the Apex Court. The Supreme Court making it clear there will be no review. After a strong rebuke from the Supreme Court, Tamil Nadu governor has administered the oath of office to DMK minister Ponmudi. The governor refused to reinstate the minister despite the Supreme Court imposing a stay on his conviction. Now, the State Bank of India has submitted all the unique serial numbers linking purchasers of electoral bonds to political parties after the Supreme Court order. Now, according to the data submitted, Megha Engineering is the top donor to the BJP via the electoral bond route, donating 584 crore rupees. Future Gaming's donations account for over 35% of all donations received by the Trinamool Congress. Parikshit is standing by now with the details. Parikshit, take us through what the data is now telling us.
Well, Future Gaming, Megha Engineering are the top donors, but that's not all. Even the Sanjeev Goenka Group, the Keventer Group, the Aditya Birla Group are among the top donors. Now, 1,365 crores has been donated by Future Gaming, which is the biggest donation to all political parties through electoral bonds. 1,186 crore by Megha Engineering and Infrastructure. Now, if we begin with the BJP, out of 6,060 crores, 584 crore came from Megha Engineering, 230 crore from Vedanta, 285 crore from the Aditya Birla Group, 236 crore from the Bharti Group. Out of 1,610 crore that TMC received through bonds, 540 crore came from Future Gaming and 281 crore from Haldia Engineering. Out of the 1,421 crore that the Congress party received through bonds, the maximum came from the Vedanta Group at 125 crores, 120 crores from MKJ Enterprises. SL Mining, Jindal Steel and Power, Sanjeev Goenka Group, DLF Commercial were the other big donors to parties such as the BJP, Congress, TMC, BRS, BJD as well.
Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Coming up next, a special report on the Indian Premier League, which begins today with a clash between the Chennai Super Kings and the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. That and more when we get back. Catch all of CNBC TV's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. The big story internationally, the US government has accused Apple of illegally monopolizing the smartphone market. The US Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against the tech giant along with 15 other states, saying Apple has the power to control prices or exclude competition. Apple has said that the lawsuit is wrong on facts and laws.
Apple has maintained monopoly power in the smartphone market not simply by staying ahead of the competition on the merits, but by violating federal antitrust law. Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. We allege that Apple has consolidated its monopoly power not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse. For consumers, that has meant fewer choices, higher prices and fees, lower quality smartphones, apps and accessories, and less innovation from Apple and its competitors. For developers, that has meant being forced to play by rules that insulate Apple from competition.
Well, the US Department of Justice versus Apple. The Indian Premier League begins today with a clash between the Chennai Super Kings and the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. The IPL is the most valuable cricket tournament that attracts the most eyeballs in India and around the world. Mangalam is here to decode the business of the IPL. Malu.
Well, we're all set to kickstart the IPL 2024. But before that, let's put some numbers from 2023, the last season, in perspective. The last IPL saw nearly 500 million viewers watching over 43,000 crore minutes of content, with the finals seeing nearly 6.5 crore people watch together. For most of the games, there were about 3 crore peak concurrent viewers online itself. And that wasn't all. For TV as well, the growth was 32% in ratings. As we move to the business of the IPL, let's understand from a franchise owner's perspective. So this would probably look like an income statement of a franchise owner. The franchise fee, which is about 20% of revenue for old franchises and fixed fee for new ones, is, an expense for them. Players' fee, along with operating expenses, are the key cost heads, whereas share of revenue coming in from the central revenue pool, central media rights, sponsors, and some ancillary revenue coming in from, gate sales, ground ads, and merchandise are the key income heads for a franchise owner. Of the central revenue pool that accrues to the BCCI, 50% is retained by them, and the other 50% is distributed among the teams. What is the annual income for the BCCI through the IPL? It's roughly 5,000 crores, which comes in through media rights, about 1,350 crores, which comes in from franchise fees, and title sponsors, which give in close to around 500 crores. The BCCI keeps 50% of that, and the remaining 50%, like I said, is distributed to the teams. How do the actual numbers look? Last year's champions, Chennai Super Kings, made a revenue of close to 273 crores and an EBITDA of 65 crores as well. And now we have the list of their revenue sources and income heads. This is from the CSK annual report. Player fees were close to around 92 crores, franchise fee 50 crores, tournament expenses of around 40 crores, for which they got revenues of close to 200 crores from the central piece and sponsorship revenue of roughly 80 crores. But here's the game changer, the valuations. The valuation of some teams has grown to over 20-25 times since the beginning of the IPL in 2008, and the IPL itself has become a decacorn, which is basically over $10 billion in terms of valuation as per Duff & Phelps. So the question then is, from an investment standpoint, what are the listed plays here? Well, we have United Spirits that owns the RCB, Sun TV that owns the Hyderabad Sunrisers, and the RPSG Group's Lucknow Super Giants is partially held by RPSG Ventures. So as a percentage of market cap, the valuation for United Spirits or RCB is about 15%, for Sun TV is about 35%, and for RPSG Ventures is about 150%. But of course, there is a lot of valuation discount or holding company discount that will play out as well. So that's the business of the IPL. Now that you know about it, sit back, relax, and enjoy the games.
Yes, we will do exactly that, Mangala. Many thanks for joining us. Now, the beauty of Jammu and Kashmir continues to bloom as the region witnessed a surge in tourists last year. The region is overall seeing a tourism revival after peace has returned to the valley. The hosting of the G20 meetings also played a pivotal role. Shivani gets us a ground report.
Jammu and Kashmir experienced a huge influx of tourists in 2023. A total of over 2 crore tourists flocked to the region in the last 1 year, impacting the economy of the region positively. The government's dream of making Kashmir a global tourism hub was pushed with many international events taking place in the Kashmir Valley, like the G20 Tourism Working Group meeting and the Miss Universe press conference. That's not all. The launch of Mercedes-Benz's electric vehicle happened in Gulmarg. Apart from this, more than 50 movies were shot in J&K in the last 1 year. The statistics speak volume about the tourism sector of J&K, with more than 150% increase in overall tourist arrivals in 2023 compared to the preceding years. Locals say that the stability in law and order has helped their business a lot.
We have witnessed it at peaceful environment in J&K. Law and order has tremendously improved. No more stone pelting, no more street fights. As a result of which, the improvement of law and order, the tourists here feel safe and assured. And the government of Jammu and Kashmir and government of India have taken many initiatives to promote tourism. We have been campaigning all over the world. We are participating, J&K tourism is participating in the World Travel March, the travel march all over the country. Besides many initiatives, like recently, just a few days before, we had a Formula 4 race over here. Last year we had the Mercedes e-vehicle which was launched from here. Like otherwise, we are opening up the new destinations, what we call an offbeat destinations. It was the first time in 70 years that tourists have reached to the border villages of Keran. You might also be happy to know that after the inauguration of the Ma Shada temple in Titwal, we are witnessing the surge in figures for the religious tourism in Kashmir as well.
Tourism भी बहुत बढ़ गया था, ठीक बढ़ गया, काम भी अच्छा रहा. इस साल जैसे यहाँ बहुत फेस्टिवल लगे हैं, उसकी वजह से भी टूरिज्म बढ़ गए. जैसे रेस रहती है, कायाकिंग रेस रहती है, जैसे गाड़ी की रेस रहती है, ऐसा बहुत से काम उससे भी बढ़ गया.
तो सरकार की तरफ से क्या रोल आप समझते हैं कि उनको क्या करना चाहिए और टूरिज्म बढ़ाने के लिए?
उसके लिए तो करना पड़ेगा, पहले महंगाई कम होना चाहिए, क्योंकि जहाज़ की जो टिकट है वो बहुत महंगी है। उसकी वजह से तो बहुत से टूरिस्ट भी आ नहीं सकते हैं। अगर ट्रेन चालू हो जाएगा तो टूरिस्ट आएगा, उसकी वजह से तो ट्रेन तो जल्दी चालू होना चाहिए। अब तो डर वाली बात नहीं है, डर वाली बात नहीं। हालात तो कम से कम 95% हालात ठीक हो गया। इलेक्शन तो ज़रूरी होना चाहिए, इलेक्शन हो जाएगा तो तभी यहाँ हालात भी अच्छा रहेगा।
2-3 साल से काम बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, अभी टूरिस्ट भी बहुत आ रहे हैं, तो बहुत फ्लो भी अभी है, बिकॉज अभी तो मेन सीजन लगेगा तो अभी और टूरिस्ट आएंगे, और अभी गार्डन्स भी ओपन हो जाएंगे तो और भी टूरिस्ट आएंगे यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट भी बहुत हो गई गवर्नमेंट की वजह से, तो इसीलिए यहाँ पे और टूरिस्ट आने लगे। इलेक्शन ज़रूरी होना चाहिए, बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट ज़रूरी है यहाँ पे, बिकॉज जब गवर्नमेंट होती है तो गवर्नमेंट सुनती है, हर किसी लोकल की सुनती है। तो हमसे गवर्नमेंट से एक ही उम्मीद है अब कि यहाँ पे जो डेवलपमेंट हो जाए, चाहे अब यहाँ पे रोड्स भी बहुत डेवलपमेंट हो गए, और भी डेवलपमेंट चाहते हैं हम यहाँ पे। G20 की वजह से भी जो यहाँ पे बड़े बड़े इवेंट्स हो रहे हैं, चाहे स्नो स्केटिंग हो रही है, रेसिंग हो रही है, या कोई भी मैराथन रेस होती है, तो उसकी वजह से टूरिस्ट प्रेफर करते हैं यहाँ पे आने के लिए।
Well, that's the view there from Jammu and Kashmir. And before we wrap, shares of Tesla under pressure on Wall Street this after a Bloomberg report claimed that Tesla has reduced production at its plant in China. The decision comes amidst electric vehicle sales falling and intense competition in China, which is the world's biggest auto market. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news will continue here on CNBC TV 18. But before we go, here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Holi. We will see you again with the market action on Tuesday morning. Take care.